Hey Noah, I got your helmet here for you. The Professor X helmet. As you can see, it's come out very nicely here. So I did go ahead and do the outside. I'm trying not to put too many fingerprints on it, but the outside visor for you. A lot more difficult than what I usually do, and the way that this model was made was clearly not meant to be worn. So I didn't use the piece that comes with it because there'd be no way to cover that with anything clear. But I think that the fact that the bend where it hot glues on creates a little bit of a gap sort of gives it that same imprint of what it was intending. And with the way I did this visor, obviously it still has that blue tint, but you could see very well. It's kind of hard to get that angle in there, but very well through the inside. So this is a very large piece. As you can see, it's scaled to your head circumference, but yours is pretty similar to mine, and this is still quite a massive thing. So when it comes to those prints, you want to be very careful because large 3D prints, they just don't like to stick together. So you got to be very careful with this. You could see like a lot of the combination lines. I mean, this piece down here and around here, this side thing, these were all different, but you can't really tell they were combined. Whereas some of these bigger ones over here, no matter what I do, they're always going to, with temperature changes and whatnot, have a little bit more stress on them. So you want to be careful there. But that's only if you're looking really closely. So if you're wearing this around at a con, you know, it looks like one complete metal piece. But I would be careful with those combination lines because of that, with pieces this big. I don't do them very often, but whenever I do, this is something I tend to point out. So I have one of the wires here, as you can see, on each side, but I've left out the secondary one that goes, I think it's about here, onto this back plate, because in order for me to have this fit onto your head in a way that's reasonable, this bottom hole needs to scale to your head, and it's as you can see, much narrower than the rest of the helmet. So if I scaled it so this was just one piece that went onto your head, I don't know who made this model, but again, it clearly was not meant to be worn, at least not made by someone who's ever made a helmet that they've worn. This would have to be way too big. So instead, it's scaled so that your head fits in comfortably, but it still requires a removable panel. So on the back here, on this back area, hey Noah, sorry to edit that. There was an issue with my neighbor, but anyway, so this back panel, you're going to just pull on it to remove it. It is held together by these elastics as well as these magnet mounts right there and there. So that way you create enough space you could slip your head in. And then once your head is in, you just lower it and you'll feel those magnets snap. They're very strong, so it does take a little bit of force to separate it, but that strength of the magnets is very important so that once your head is in there, it can be moving all around, your head could be bumping into this, and it's not going to come off. So while you're wearing it, it just looks like one piece. Now, I should add, in between the edits, I had to go back on these and angle them up. Again, whoever made this model clearly had never, or at least was not picturing the fact that someone would be wearing it. So I angled these a bit differently than in the image. I angled these a bit differently than in the image so that they could be out of the way of this back panel. But they still give that same effect of having the wires. And as I said, I don't have that other one because the back panel is necessary to make sure this isn't ridiculously huge. And if I were to place it along but disconnected, it would risk snapping off randomly. But I think overall, you still have that same effect with the helmet. It still, you know, has the wires on the sides. But anyway, the final thing, which does not have to do with the actual helmet itself, I'll put it over here, is the foam. So I'm going to include a number of things. First of all, this secondary visor that didn't go as well. It got dinged up in travel, but figured, you know, if you need it, might as well throw it in. I'm not going to use it. And then the foam. So I don't have your head here. So with a helmet designed this way, it's really difficult. Well, with any of them, really. Without your head here, it's very hard for me to make the minute adjustments, because make it too small, then it won't fit. So it was, again, as I said, scaled to your head, but you're going to have to insert some of the foam inserts that I include. I do this with all my helmets. I have my normal ones, which are these. So these you can glue in, and if you need to make bigger adjustments, you can stack them, like glue one in, glue another on top to fill in more space wherever, you know, when you have the helmet on and you move your head around, wherever you can feel there's motion. But these are going to be for small adjustments. I'm including a lot more than normal. So they're different thicknesses. So you have skinnier ones and thicker ones for bigger or smaller adjustments. So I'm going to include all of those, as well as this new set that I've made as well, which are of the thicker type. 99% of my helmets, these types of things are enough, but I'm throwing these in as well. They're a bit longer and wider and thicker for bigger adjustments, as well as 2 pieces of this pull-apart foam. You can shape however you'd like, but it is much thicker, as you can see, and very squishy. Good for the top of the head often, as well as this piece. It's a bit stiffer, but same idea. Thicker foam, pull apart. You can shape it how you need. And then these 2 very stiff, thick pieces you can place however you need, as well as something that I personally do, which I've not seen a lot of people do. Doesn't look as pretty on the inside, but these. So these tubes, they're scrap. On my larger helmets that I've made, I will use things like, these are from gift wrapping paper, but also, you know, paper towels, things like that. They work. They're quite wide and they have a bit of give to them, but they're still stiff enough that they don't break. So if there's a big gap, you can just layer some hot glue right there, pop it in, and also they're very easy to cut to shape if you need to make them smaller, but they take up a good amount of space. So there's 4 of those for you, already cut down a bit, but again, you can reshape them however you need. So you're gonna have those, all of these, and all of these. So a lot more foam than I typically would include, with one of these helmets. But again, the design of this one was very strange. So when you're doing the foam, it's not an exact science. You don't have to cover everywhere. You just want a couple of symmetrical points to be making contact with your head so it doesn't move, and you don't have to cover everywhere. So I brought this just to show you an example. This is my Peacemaker Suicide Squad helmet. You can see with this one, it is literally just one piece of misshapen foam put along the back, nothing else on there, but just that piece alone holds it onto me. And, you know, maybe I'd add some here if I wanted it tighter, but the point being is that it's not an exact science. Try and go around the temples, top of the head, back of the head. Just have at least 3, preferably 4 points of contact. It should hold on really nicely. If you have any questions or concerns, you can just let me know, obviously. So yeah, you'll get all of this, the helmet, and I'm packing it up tonight, and I'll have it out to you in probably the next 2 days. Thanks, man.